Welcome to this episode of Mainline Connect. My name is Jennifer Lynn Robinson, and my guest today is Melissa Toler, a life and wellness coach specializing in body image. Welcome, Melissa.
Thanks, Jennifer. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. So, if you've watched some of our shows, you know I like to start off with a networking topic, of course.
Yes.
And I'd love to know, as a solopreneur, how you think has been the best way to spread the word about your business.
So the great thing is these days there's so many ways
Yes.
to spread the word about your business. And at the same time, that can be a negative because then you have so many options and you're not sure where to stick with. So for me, in the past 3 years since I've been doing this business, the best way has been interacting with people in person. So going to networking events, speaking in front of groups, having coffee with people has been the absolute most productive and rewarding way for me in my business. I also do a lot of online stuff. It's just, I don't love it as much. And it takes a while longer because people have to get to know you, which is more difficult, I think, online than in person.
Yeah, so the in-person networking has been key for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and you're right. There is so much out there, and a lot of it is trial and error as a business owner, as you know, I'm sure. And not everything is equal for everyone. So,
No.
you know, there are things that work for some people that don't work for others. Some dependent on your business, some dependent on your personality. So
I think I think based on the work that I do and my personality, in person just works way better for me. I know a lot of entrepreneurs who primarily get business and interact with people online, and it works like gangbusters for them. And I've tried it to have it as my sole method of getting my name out there, and it just doesn't work that well for me.
It's okay. Good to know what works and what doesn't.
Absolutely.
Yeah, not waste your time. Yeah, so tell us about what a body image coach is, and especially how is that different than somebody who just wants to go to a nutritionist?
So I am a certified health and wellness coach, and I specialize in helping women with negative body image. And the way that that's different than a nutritionist or a dietitian is nutritionists and dietitians primarily help individuals with food and making food choices that suit them, that make them healthier or help them to achieve a certain goal.
Okay.
In my work, I don't create meal plans, and I don't do a lot of conversations with food. What I do is coach women to develop mindfulness practices, different habits that they can cultivate in their lives to feel more comfortable in their own bodies.
Okay.
Be more accepting of them.
So would you say it's about helping people ultimately lose weight, or it's about much more than that? It sounds like it's about much more than that.
It is about much more than that. And there's nothing wrong with losing weight.
Sure.
I absolutely support any choice that a woman has and what she wants to do with her body. But what I have found from my own experience is that for me and for a lot of women, weight loss itself just isn't the answer. Like we expect that there's going to be like this
pot of gold
at the end of the rainbow, and we're just going to be happy and skipping along, and life is just going to be grand when we get down to that ideal weight. And I don't know about you, but for me, that just never happened. And, we deserve to feel good about ourselves. We deserve to live a great life regardless of what the scale says. So it's okay that people want to lose weight, but I help them achieve a lot more than that too.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that's very interesting about you is that you used to be a fitness competitor. And so you're coming with that background, deciding to become a body image coach. Tell us about kind of that journey.
Sure.
For you.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, a fitness competitor, fitness competitions are sort of like Miss America pageants with muscles.
Right.
So we stand on stage all tan with a very skimpy swimsuit that you can't swim in because it's so sparkly. And it was a great experience. For me, it was sort of a form of performance because you got on stage and you walked around and you got judged. And for a lot of women who get into those fitness competitions, unfortunately, it can lead to disordered eating or an actual eating disorders because it is so strict and regimented, and you are being judged on your physique, on your body.
Right.
In a very formal way. And so obviously you can imagine the scrutiny that one would place on their own bodies and what they're eating in order to achieve that. Fortunately, I had a more pleasant experience, and I do attribute my time as a fitness competitor to getting to this point as a body image coach. And not because I went through any like horrible eating disorder or disordered eating as a result of that. It just taught me that one of the lessons that I got from that is there were quite a few lessons. One is the weight that I thought was my ideal weight, which is 125 pounds, was not my ideal weight, because I was on stage super lean and ripped at like 120 pounds. And that stage look is not sustainable.
Right.
It's not compatible with real life. And so I was like, oh, this 125 pounds I've been chasing, just no wonder I haven't been able to achieve it. The other lesson that I learned is that getting that ripped and shredded and lean does not automatically and magically make your life awesome.
Right.
Like my problems didn't go away just because I could see my abs. And so that was probably the best lesson. Like, the losing weight and being fit and thin for me was not the answer to all my problems.
Yeah, and I think, for many people out there, like you said earlier, you have a goal in mind, whether that's to get down to a certain number on the scale or maybe a certain size or whatever it is, or, win a certain competition. And it doesn't change what else you have going on in your life. It doesn't change the root of other things that you need to work through, unfortunately.
And unfortunately, it can just be a cover for those other things. It can be a distraction for those other things.
Sure.
And fortunately for me, it wasn't so much so. Okay. And I looked at fitness competitions, again, as just a way of being on a stage. I can't sing or dance, so I was like, I can stand in a swimsuit for 3 minutes.
Right, so. And be scrutinized, which a lot of people, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, so it's not for everyone. Yeah, that's true.
So you also came out of corporate America before starting your business. So tell me about that transition. What made you ultimately decide, I want to leave corporate America and a nice regulated salary every 2 weeks and benefits and make the move to entrepreneur?
So I am also a pharmacist. I have a doctor of pharmacy degree, and for 15 years, I spent 15 years of my career in corporate America in pharma, at pharmaceutical companies. And it was an amazing, I don't regret that time at all. It was an amazing experience. I met a lot of my good friends there. I had varied experiences, job experiences there. But all along, I knew that this just was not the thing for me. It was not my thing. It was not what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, or even a big part of my life. I knew there was just something else. And again, once I started training for the fitness competitions and I wrote a blog and people started asking me for advice on things, and I was like, oh, you know what? I like this. And I couldn't figure out how to turn it into a business at that time. And then I hired a business coach, and I got closer to defining what it was that I wanted to do. And I got a certification in wellness coaching. And I made the jump in 2013. My goal was to leave corporate America by the time I turned 40, which was in 2014. But I was able to do it a year earlier.
Good for you.
And I just thought life is really short. And even when we say life is short, we're still thinking we're going to live to 75 or 80.
Right.
But it can end a lot sooner than that.
Sure.
And I didn't want to be in a job where I wasn't using my gifts and talents. And while it was lucrative and fun and fairly easy at times, I didn't want to do it anymore. And so I said, if I'm not, I have to do it now.
Right.
I can't wait, because you can always come up with a reason to wait. Well,
of course.
When I pay off this, and when I do that, and when I turn 50. And I was like, I'm just going to do it now.
Right. You just have to decide one day, that's it.
This is it. Yeah.
So now you're in the world of entropreneurism, and what would you say has been the best and worst part of it for you?
So the best part is, of course, time freedom and kind of working your own schedule. But honestly, being exposed to all different types of people in different businesses. So other entrepreneurs, getting a perspective that I never got in corporate America. I think that has been like the most enriching and rewarding part of being an entrepreneur.
I would actually say the same thing, because, I come from the legal community, and I couldn't believe the diversity of people that were out there, that were not lawyers, I mean, you just don't see it when you're in that, when you're in an insular community. You were in Pharm.
Absolutely.
You don't realize there's this whole world of people out there with all these creative ideas and advice and all the neat things they're doing and creating. You don't even know it's out there.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
And so as a result of that, I've learned how to do a lot of things, like build a website, not beautifully, but I can, I've learned some coding and social media. It has expanded my horizons in major ways. Some of the not so great things, it can be very lonely.
Yes.
It can be really lonely. And I think it's also one of the most challenging things I've ever done, because, you have this dream of creating a business and helping people. And sometimes it doesn't go well. It doesn't go the way that you want it to. And then at least for me, it starts to make me question, did I do the right thing? Is this my purpose? It just makes you question yourself as a human being some days, and that doesn't feel good.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. When something goes wrong as an entrepreneur, you can take it from like here, or let me do the opposite, here to here in like a minute. Should I be doing this? What am I doing with my life? Why did I even start this? Why did I think this was a good, it's so easy to do all of that.
Yes.
And have those moments. And thankfully, you do have the community of, hopefully at this point, close friends and entrepreneurs that can talk you down, right? Talk you off the ledge.
It helps to know that I'm not alone in that thinking. Because you're right, it can go from 0 to 60. I'm okay, and I'm a total loser.
Yes.
Quickly. And it just can ruin your whole day or a whole week or a whole month if you let it.
Right. So, you can't let it. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So, going back to the coaching, tell us about who you work with. Who's your target client? Who are you looking to work with?
Yeah. So I work primarily with women between the ages of 35 and 55. There's some outliers there. And women who are exhausted of trying to lose weight. Women who are tired of dieting but don't know what the alternative is, and or are scared of that alternative. I've had people in that case. And women who feel like they've spent their life going between overeating and dieting, and never getting to like that moderation middle point where it just feels good.
It's very hard. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. It's a very hard thing to do. I think we all struggle with it as women. Yeah.
Yes.
So, how have you learned to quiet that inner critic? I think there's always, as we were saying, from the business perspective, it's easy to kind of spiral down. But as a woman, a man or a woman, but I think particularly for women, it's hard to quiet that inner critic of that I'm not skinny enough, I'm not pretty enough.
Yeah.
Who am I to do this until I'm a size 6, or I look a certain way, or I shouldn't be in this picture, and I shouldn't get on TV. All of those things go through your head.
Oh, yeah.
And can really, hold your whole life back.
Oh, yeah.
So how have you been able to quiet that inner critic?
Yeah. So a couple of things. First, I think it's comforting to know that we all have an inner critic. It's a part of being a human being. You don't have to kill your inner critic, right? That inner critic is there for a reason. It's our standard setter. It helps us to kind of, it's kind of the achiever in us, but it can run amok too and totally dominate your life in a bad way. So number one, realizing it's part of being human and that you don't necessarily have to eradicate it or kill it. You just make friends with it. Become aware that it's there.
Okay.
The other thing with regard to appearance and body image and weight for women, it is so important to remember and to just recognize that we are not born making these decisions or choices. It is a result of living in a culture that is so heavily focused on a woman being a certain size and looking a certain way. So it makes sense that's what we've internalized, because we've been marinating in that message since we were little girls. And so I always part of my message is to let women know that you aren't making these decisions and these criticisms of yourself in a vacuum. It is a direct result of being influenced by the messages from the media and family and everyone around us.
Yeah.
And so I have just, between those two things of knowing that I'm influenced by everything around me and that the inner critic is there, what I've learned to do is just practice, and it is a practice, self-compassion.
Okay.
And I know, and there's evidence to show that self-criticism is not the motivator that we think it is, right? We think we can hate ourselves thin. Well, if I'm hard enough on myself, then I'll be forced to lose weight. And I just invite people to look at your own personal history and ask yourself, has that worked for me
and
before?
probably not. Yeah.
Probably hasn't.
Yeah.
And self-compassion is not something that we are really taught. But it is it's a great practice to incorporate into your life.
Give me an example of that.
Sure. And so one of the practices that I work with clients on, and I have had to do myself, is write a short letter to myself.
Okay.
As if I were writing to like my niece or someone I love. So if you have something that you're struggling with, and you find yourself beating yourself up about it.
Okay.
Set a timer for 5 or 10 minutes and write a letter to your niece or someone that you love about that issue and reminding them that they're still a good person. And notice how you feel. Like, notice if there's a shift in the way that you feel about yourself. And then read it back. So that has helped me and some of my clients tremendously, because it at least sort of gets the flow going of having compassionate words to say to yourself and knowing that you deserve compassion just like everybody else. We're great at being compassionate to other people, but not to ourselves. So those practices, the things that you do with your loved ones, just turn the tables.
Yeah, it's amazing how that works. And we've talked about this off camera, I see plenty of people in a day, whether it's family, friends, or strangers, and I'll say, wow, she looks great, and, look at her presence, and, look how pretty she is. And it's not about them being a certain size or a certain weight, and it's not fake. I'll say that to people and feel 100% it's the truth, but I cannot turn that back on myself. We're our worst critics.
And I think a lot of women experience that. And like I said, it is a practice. It's something that you have to be mindful of and to intentionally incorporate into your life.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are afraid of being compassionate to themselves because they fear it's letting themselves go or giving up. Like if I'm too nice to myself, then that means I'm just kind of giving up and I'm not.
Right.
And that just isn't true. There's evidence to show that, like I said, self-criticism does the exact opposite of what you think it's going to do. It's the compassion and like getting rid of judgment that helps you actually achieve the goals that you want to achieve.
I love that. So that moves us into one of the things I really want to talk about, which is your Facebook group, which I'm a big fan of, which is called Break the Rules, Live Your Life.
Yeah.
Tell us about how that came about and what you're trying to achieve with that.
Oh, yeah. So Break the Rules, Live Your Life. So I came up with that concept of breaking the rules because I feel like there are a lot of rules, both written and unwritten, about how women in particular are supposed to eat, think, exercise, and look. And what I encourage women to do is come up with your own definition of health, of beauty, and break the rules and live your life, not the life that other people think you should be living.
Right.
And so I created this intimate Facebook group so that women can get inspiration, and it's sort of a safe space for if you're struggling with something, and having the support of a group of other like-minded women. And it just is, it's sort of away from, like, we don't talk about food, and there aren't like fitspiration pictures there's like none of that. It's just, it's real life, it's real issues, it's fun at the same time. I love it.
Yeah, I love it. It's none of the, I feel bad I ate a cookie today, or, I feel great because I did 100 squats. It's none of that stuff.
None of that. None of that.
Yeah, it's a really great group.
Thank you.
So, you also periodically do these events that I've been fortunate to attend called Break the Rule dinners.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was attending, even though I know what you're like as a person, I didn't know what to expect. And I remember when we got to dessert thinking, we were at one of my favorite restaurants, Tango, and I love their dessert. And I'm thinking, well, I'm going to have dessert, but Melissa's probably not going to have dessert because she's all about health. But you did. You had dessert. So I love the concept of the Break the Rules dinner, and I'd love you to talk about it.
Yeah, so thank you. It's so funny because people hear that I am a wellness coach, and they know that I've done fitness competitions. And often when they sit down to any dinner with me, they think that I'm going to just have salad,
right?
Which there's nothing wrong with that,
right.
but if I want something else, I'm going to have what I want. So that was the concept of the Break the Rules Dinner Club. It's an opportunity for me to get with 5 or 6 other women and have an in-depth conversation about the struggles that we experience around body image and appearance and how it affects our lives. And we do it over a great meal.
Yeah.
And I encourage people to order what you want. There's no
right answer.
There's no right answer. Yeah. You can have whatever you want. And it's been a really great experience because I love talking to other women about this topic.
Yeah.
And in the ones that I've done, the women love just having that interaction with each other. And we just talk about it just goes into places that I don't think anyone anticipated, but in a good way. And often the women have become friends and have connected with each other at the dinner clubs.
Yeah, I think it's great. I had such a fantastic time at the one I was at, and I think this is one of your services that you're now offering to different groups and corporate groups where people could get together and decide,
Absolutely.
they have a certain number of women and you would come do a dinner with them, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. On my website at melissatoler.com, there's a tab for Break the Rules Dinner Club. And if you have a group of women, 5 or 6 women, that you guys want to get together over dinner and have these conversations, you can sign up for it. Yeah.
That's great. And I know you also do a lot of weekly calls that are free.
Yes.
So tell us about that. You have a Monday night group call that you do, right? Yeah.
So they have been weekly, but since it's spring and the weather's getting better,
they might not be weekly anymore. That's okay.
Yeah. They're going to go to monthly.
Yeah. Okay.
But this year, I really want, one of my big goals in my business was to increase my conversations with women in my audience and really hear about what it is that they need and what they want. And so the Body Talk Sessions, which was my weekly, now monthly, free calls on Monday evening. And we have a different topic. And again, it's a virtual sort of dinner club. It's an opportunity to talk about our concerns and experiences with different body image and life topics.
What are some of the topics you've tackled so far?
So we've talked about the perfection trap. We've talked about food guilt and how it can ruin your life and how you can not let it ruin your life, how to feel confident in your body without feeling like you have to lose weight. Mm-hmm. So it's topics like that really hit home.
That's really great. So tell us about the process of working with you one-on-one. When you do take on clients that work with you one-on-one, what does that look like?
So I often start with sort of an intake form just to get an idea of what the client is struggling with and what her goals are. And over the course of 3 or 6 months, we work through one of her main challenges. And oftentimes the goal is for her to learn through the coaching process to determine, okay, I'm here in this place and I want to eventually get here. We determine if that is possible in the 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
And if so, what is it that we need to do over time? And during those 3 to 6 months, we have one-on-one calls twice a month, but I also leave room for homework. So this work is important, and yes, you can be inspired and learn a lot through reading and listening, but the real change happens through the doing. And so I like to leave a lot of room for women to actually incorporate certain practices like mindfulness practices, just different things in their lives so that they know what it feels like to sort of work with their inner critic, or know what it feels like to face themselves in a full-length mirror, know what it feels like to see and take a full-length picture of themselves. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Have you found that some of your clients, when they start out, they have goals which they modify as the 3 to 6 months go on?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
I think I've had a lot of clients who really want to lose a certain amount of weight. And usually we choose something in addition to that.
Okay.
Something that we can really work on. And the people who have wanted to lose weight, like halfway through, they're like, you know what? I've not lost any weight, but I feel so much better about myself, because we're talking about things that are really important to me.
Right.
So that's one of the things I hear a lot from clients.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you have coming up? Speaking wise, event wise, what are you looking to do in 2016 that you can share with us?
Yeah. So one of the other things about being an entrepreneur is you have all these ideas,
of course, all the
that
time,
you may or may not be able to execute. But usually in the spring and summer, I have a workshop. I haven't started that, but I'm thinking about having a workshop.
Okay.
In the Philadelphia area. And all this stuff will come on my website. The other thing I have in the works that I haven't said publicly yet is that I am going to start a podcast in the next couple of months, because I love podcasts.
Yeah.
I've been interviewed on a few myself, and I just feel like it's another avenue to have this important conversation. And a lot of people are listening to podcasts these days. That's a form of entertainment. And then finally, I have something called the Body Confidence Manifesto.
And what's that?
It's you can go to bodyconfidencemanifesto.com, and
Okay.
it's really just a guide that has 5 practices where women can learn to feel confident in their bodies. It's a free gift that if you go to my website, you'll be able to see it.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for
I'm
sharing.
excited about that one.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is on your bucket list that's not related to any of your business goals? What are you looking to do either this year or just in your lifetime that you haven't done yet?
So I love to travel. It sparks my creativity and it's just fun. One of my dream trips is to drive either up or down the California coast. I don't know where I'm going to start yet. But that's been one. I love California. I would never live there, but I love visiting there. The Pacific Coast Highway is
It looks amazing. I've never
gorgeous.
been. Yeah.
And they're just certain little towns that I want to visit. And that is one of my bucket list items.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any plans to make it happen, or?
So at the beginning of this year, I wanted to do it this year. It doesn't seem to be materializing that way, but maybe next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I like that. And I can see a lot of great photographs coming of that too.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
And you could even put it on your podcast.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So tell people how they can get in touch with you if they're interested in learning more, they want to work with you.
Yeah,
Tell viewers how they can get in touch with you.
Sure. I'm at melissatoler.com. There's my blog there. There's also information about how to get access to the Body Confidence Manifesto, as well as my monthly body talk sessions.
Wonderful. So last question, again, we're going back to networking.
Yes.
What organization have you been a part of that you think has worked well for you that you want to share with others?
Yeah, I have been a part of Femfessionals for 2 years, and you're big in Femfessionals, and that has been really awesome for me because I've met you and so many other women who have helped me with my business, and it just is it's great energy to be around women who are in business and are willing to help you with yours as well.
Yeah,
awesome.
and I think one of the things that I love about it, which I think you also love about it, is the personal relationships that you have formed in it, that I've also formed in it. Certainly it's been helpful to my business, but I think those bonds, are something that I don't get other places.
Absolutely. And that's very helpful when you work by yourself. You don't have a whole office full of coworkers,
right.
It's been great.
It's been great. Good. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you.
Be sure to check out, Melissa's calls, which will now be monthly with the nice weather, and what her Facebook group, Break the Rules, Live Your Life, and all of the wonderful things she has coming up. And of course, we look forward to your podcast.
Oh, yes.
And thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thanks. This was really good.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.